So what have you learned the most about the community or culture over the years? And I'm talking about like maybe like the people that come see you on tour. Like, what do you think they all have in common?
You know, all these gigs are the people that come. It's just a microcosm of the world outside. So they have some things in common. They have lots of things not in common. You know, so that's just the way of things. So what I would say is that there are people coming to Napalm gigs that were coming in 89 and 90 and 91. So that gives you the kind of staying power, the dedication that these people have. And the odd thing is that, you know, I never take what I do with Napalm or what Napalm does for granted. You know, I know I'm really lucky to be able to do this. And so I always try my best, you know, to make it the best that it can be. But as for the kind of elevated profile that some people think is important, for me, I don't care about that stuff. It's never bothered me. I just care about doing the best that I can for the people that come here or buy the records, and obviously with the human things that we talk about as a band, that those are expressed as they need to be, you know, and that people hopefully get something from that. That's all I care about, you know. Everything else is kind of secondary, you know. So
I think the best message that you say is like just kind of speak exactly what you think, and it doesn't like you don't let anybody from the outside skew your opinion, which I respect that fully.
well, I mean, I've always looked at it like this: why would anybody be afraid of like speaking? You know, these things that are just baseline human things. That's what they are. You know, they're really simplistic actually in a lot of ways. So why would you be afraid of expressing that? You know, I know there are people out there that think that's always are a bit jumpy about doing stuff like that, but I never quite understood why. You know, if you have the confidence in what you're writing, which you would assume you would have if you're going to write that stuff anyway, then why would you be nervy about expressing it? You know, I don't let it. You know, I just don't let that stuff get to me. You know, it doesn't bother me, and neither would I let anybody censor me either. So you know, it's just not acceptable to me. You know, so well, it's not censoring me. It's actually censoring. It would be censoring the band and the idea. I'm kind of almost irrelevant. You know, it's what the collective is doing. You know.
So this is a heavy one. How has this style of music made a significant positive impact on your life today?
Well, I mean, it's taken me around the world for one thing, and met people that I never would have met. I mean, I always considered myself to be always open to every kind of cultural aspect within the world. Always open to that. Always searched it out in books and other means. But seeing it firsthand, there's no substitute for that really. So that, you know, that really means a lot to me. So yeah, you know, that, and I forgot the question actually, the first bit of it.
So how has the style of music made a significant positive impact on your life?
Yeah, I mean, in that way that I just described. And, you know, it means that I didn't have to stick with my engineering you know, thing that I was doing before I joined the band. You know, I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing what I was doing, but this is way better. I mean, how many people would ever get to do this, travel the world, play music that's frankly not exactly smooth on the ears, and still get people coming out after all these years and being interested, you know, being friendly, you know, I mean, what's not to like, you know? So yeah.
I talk to musicians about that all the time, about how like, I mean, you can travel the world, but hitting city after city after city for like a month, it just, you don't do that unless you're like a fucking thing.
Yeah, sure.
Like, it's just, to me, it's just an experience that only musicians find.
Yeah.
So
I mean, to be honest, I can't give you any specific pointers on that. All I would say is, you know, do what you think is the right thing to do and go for it. You know, it might stick, it might not. You got to be prepared that it might not. You know, it's just the way things go. But yeah, follow the courage of your convictions, to use a horrible cliche, you know, but it's like, that's just it, you know. People often ask, oh, can you give me some industry advice? Not really, you know, because that's not the angle I come in from, you know. The angle I come in from is, to me, way more organic than that, you know. So it's just, you know, do what you think is right. Always be willing to listen to other people, but if you really can't get anything from what other people have told you, if you still think, if they contradict what you're doing, but you still think you're in the right, then go for it. You can only be right or wrong for yourself, you know. That's what I can say. And in terms of expressing the ideas that we do, why do you need my advice for that? What's stopping you? You know what I mean? Nothing. So.
Can you back up just a second?
Yeah.
Talk.
Yeah.
Okay, I always get a laugh at this one. What's something that's happened on the road, maybe recently, maybe not recently, that you go, holy shit, I'm still doing this X amount of years later? Like, maybe like a tour story.
I can't think of anything except that's completely mundane, you know what I mean? It's like, I've got my process of going from, you know, the vehicle to the club to the thing I always pack. It's, like I say, it's really mundane, and people probably don't even want to hear about this stuff, but it's like, I got my coffee dripper, my beans, my cup that I use. I've always got the process of getting my stage clothes and then hanging everything up. I do the same process every day. I'm a creature of habit in that respect. That's completely mundane. I mean, the point is, I suppose, is that whilst we've been talking about this being a fantastic thing to do, you know, seeing the world, there are many things in it that are just mundane, you know, and it doesn't need to be mind-blowingly, like, fireworks, you know, spectacular all the time. The mundane is part of the process, you know, and that's good, that's fine, you know, it's just, it is what it is, you know, so.
I think it's the funniest thing that you say that, because, like, when people think, well, outsiders look at metal, like, people that listen to extreme music, metal, they think that they're like, there's something wrong with them sometimes. I know it, and I'm just like, they do the same thing. They drink coffee, they go on, like, they just play shows.
Yeah, I mean, that's just one of the common misconceptions, as common misconceptions go. Much like common misconceptions in any other area of life, they are there, you know, unfortunately, but there you go. There are, you know, I will say this, again, what we do is just, the people is just a microcosm of everything else. But I must say that I've met some of the kindest, you know, most humane people in this general scene than I have any, you know, compared to anywhere else, you know, so that fact, you know. Yeah.
All right, two more. What do you think is the most rewarding things about doing things DIY? And obviously, it's good. You got a big label now, so it's not very DIY. But think it back to the older days.
Yeah, sure. But the point is that what people don't know is, whilst we've got that label, a big independent, basically, we still call the shots. Napalm still calls the shots. We have an understanding with the label that they don't tell us what to do. If we think something's not right, we don't do it. That's it, and they won't force us to do it. So yeah, you know, we've got a really good label in terms of the distribution, in terms of the press, this and that. But all the internal doings, we have the final say. We would never allow anybody to dictate to us how our art goes, you know. We're very selfish in that respect, you know. So yeah, we are effectively still DIY, you know, we are, you know. So people can make of that what they will, but that's the truth, you know. So for us, I can only speak for Napalm Death. You know.
You're the first person that's ever said that, like, from a larger perspective. Like, when I started talking to bands for a larger scale, they usually say, "Oh, we have this big label." They don't say that.
Yeah.
They don't say the whole, but we still have the power. We're still technically DIY band.
Yeah, we are. I mean, we for us, we have to do it. I mean, you wouldn't get like the album sleeves that Napalm does, or any of the layouts, just for the benefit of people judging from a visual perspective. You wouldn't get any of that stuff if it wasn't for us having the absolute say, you know what I mean? You wouldn't, you know. So what you see, the visual art of Napalm Death, comes from us. And equally on the other side, if anyone's to blame for some complete fuck-ups, it's us, nobody else, you know. So people can throw shit at us rather than throwing it at somebody else, you know. So.
All right, last one. So, ready?
Go on.
So what's something unexpected that you've had to overcome with being in this band?
To overcome. Well, a couple of things really. I mean, stage fright is the first thing. Yeah, I get stage fright pretty bad every night. All the gigs I've done down here, I still get it. Nervous wreck, you know what I mean, before I go on stage. And that's, I know what it is. It's because I've got this completely irrational fear that it's not going to be the best that it can be. You know, when Napalm goes out on stage, I want it to be the absolute representation of Napalm Death. You know, the coarseness of it, the abrasiveness of it. It has to be for me. And I just have this irrational fear that it's not going to be that. And the second thing is a more human thing. It's like learning to live with 4 other people in a metal tube, you know, for weeks on end. You need to be mindful of other people's ways. You know, you have to, you know. You have to. You have to respect other people's. We're in a band that has very, I think, specific. You know, the thrust of us is quite specific. But we're all not one person. We're all different people still. So you have to work within that a little bit, and that's a good thing. It teaches you like a few things, you know. So.